There are still some major health gaps in some low-income countries in Africa, Nigeria being one of the biggest countries in Africa. Today, the Office of the First Lady of Nigeria, Ms. Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, convened a panel of discussion for a long-term strategy of health initiative and to address some of the targets of the Sustainable Development.
An activist, a friend, a sister who was lost in the tragedy in Saudi Arabia, her calling was for women, was for children, and was for making better life for the poor. So my prayers for her soul to rest in peace. I want to also thank the First Lady because giving us an opportunity here so soon after we have agreed this huge framework for the SDGs is really very helpful for us. It shows the commitment from Nigeria, from Africa, about where we intend to go on the important issue of women and children. And so that political leadership and vision is welcomed at a time like this when people say, we just come and do speeches. Well, Nigeria is here and telling us how we're going to do it going forward. So please, thanks to the First Lady as you go back. It has been 3.5 years of a very long journey of consulting everyone, everywhere, about what we need to do to face the existing challenges that we have and the emerging ones that are on our doorstep. What we had in 2000 is different from the challenges that we face today. And on Friday, the 25th of September, we agreed a universal development agenda that's integrated, and we also agreed a financing framework. So we do two really special things. We got the resources for it, but we also said this is about everybody. This is not just about a small part of the world or a small part of our country, but it has to include everyone. It also was about building on what we've done. Nigeria has long addressed these challenges in various forms. It is through different initiatives that we've just heard from our Permanent Secretary, Linus Awuti, who has shown that we have been doing. But it also reinforced by the new agenda for change that President Muhammadu Buhari has. And I think it's important that we build on countries' initiatives, their policies, their plans and their visions, and that we integrate this new agenda. We haven't finished the MDGs, so you will see in the first 17 goals, the 6 of them are about the unfinished business of the MDGs. And the rest really reinforce that we must look at the root causes and not just put a band-aid on the issues. And for Nigeria, that really does mean not a national effort, but an effort, as we've heard, from the local governments to the state governments and then to the federal government. The other way around doesn't work it. We know that we have to underscore partnerships to make that work, and top of my list has always been young people, because they have the vision, the energy and the drive to either take us to a good place or to make our lives uncomfortable. And unless we address their needs, their aspirations, that's what will continue to happen. The government certainly has given us initiatives and partnerships that we must build on. The conditional cash transfers and the grants that we've had in the past have shown us that the 3 tiers can work together in the same direction. And I do want to acknowledge Senator Binta Belonze, because she played a big role in making sure the resources in the National Assembly actually went towards a lot of what we did in maternal health and child health for years gone by. So it's nice to see you as Senator. We will be asking for more, like Oliver Twist. So parliamentarians matter. In the end of the day, their oversight and appropriation is key. And I can see a colleague right at the back when we talked about HIV and AIDS and education, that laws matter. The Girl Child Act matters, and these are important. But so too, things like the initiative of Every Woman, Every Child of the Secretary General, which started to try to accelerate the MDGs. And then to say that actually my brother or another mother, Professor Shotane, has been in the lead in doing the 2.0, which goes further to address adolescence and talk about context. Because it's not just about an enabling environment that looks at poverty, but it is one that takes in conflict. And more and more of us, our women, our children, are involved in those environments. And so thank you very much for making the new strategy be about, first of all, surviving, but going on to thrive, and then to transform our economies. 50% of our women, of our human resources, those are assets. It's not a question of being charitable, it's not a question of just rights, it's actually an asset that's worth getting a huge return. Last but not least, the accountability part of this agenda, it's not legally binding, and therefore you'll ask, so, how and why will people do it? but it is fully owned this time. The fact that people are talking about implementation before we leave New York is incredible. That we see the government of Sweden pick up 6 or 7 other member states to say they have a call to action on this agenda. The fact that we see the UK government putting money behind the empowerment of girls, and that we also see the Global Partnership for Data launched in New York this week, actually relaunched, it was first launched in Addis, but relaunched with money on the table for the bank and for all our countries to do something, and then Kenya being the first African country to step up and say not only are they doing this, but they're also going to hold the first international conference on the data revolution in Kenya next year. But data is important. If we are saying everyone everywhere, we need to know where they are. And somebody raise their hand and tell me that when you announce data in Nigeria, that you can really say it's accurate. No, I didn't think so. It's not just Nigeria, it's most places. We don't know where people are. We certainly don't know them in a disaggregated way, where the most vulnerable are. And unless we build the statistical commissions to do this, but we also use big data, technology, to make that real time. So when people like Senator Binta say to us, I want to know where it is you're taking this and how many people are you addressing, we can actually tell them, and they can go out and they can find the resources for it, but they can also hold government accountable for what we do with those resources. Finally, the advocacy role that the First Lady takes in this is critical for moving rhetoric to action. Never to underestimate how much that means and values in these different constituencies. What she will say to government, what she will say to parliament, what she will say to the business community. In Nigeria, we're lucky to have the private sector on board with the health sector in some of the initiatives. So I think, underscoring that advocacy does matter. It will be the action that comes behind the many speeches and commitments that we have made. And for that, I thank everyone for giving me the opportunity.
Born child and adolescent health and nutrition of our citizens and residents of Nigeria. This is because the health and well-being of women and children is critical to national development. You will agree with me that to achieve significant results in this endeavor, there is need for context-specific intervention at the state, local government, and community levels. In view of this, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to assure you of my resolve to take this vision to my fellow wives of governors of states in Nigeria, so we can actively keep into this initiative in our own states. I believe together we can make the life of our women and children including adolescent girls worth living. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to Africa Connect, and I'm here with the Honorable Linus Aute. Sir, I just have to ask you, celebrating the gender equality and the SDG, one of the goals is the elimination of sex trafficking and other type of exploitation of girls. What are the policy there to fight against this the traffickers in Nigeria?
Well, it has been noted over the years that such kind of act of trafficking of girls is illegal, and we have not seen it to be a prominent situation in Nigeria. However, because such kind of practice is even outlawed by our constitution, and so it is not tenable and is not acceptable also, and there is no support for that even by the National Assembly. And so the Health Ministry is also not in any position to accept that kind of situation.
So you said there are laws protecting the young girls. Now, we are still, I would say 75% of the girls trafficked out of Nigeria, they are always from Edo State. We haven't seen any policy yet, and so far it's still the highest number in Africa.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, we do not have any recorded information as to how that had manifested in the life of Nigeria as a major problem. Most of the people who have left this country have left on their own volition, to the best of my knowledge. And those who also migrated out of the country illegally have often found themselves back to the country by way of repatriation.
So everybody that have left the country have left willingly, not trafficking by other people.
Yeah, it is noted and it has been said that there are some cartels who are involved in this kind of business. But I think in recent time we have also joined the globe to condemn that kind of act. And there are some certain legislative arrangement that is also geared towards, proscribing that kind of practice.
Education is really a big part of eradicating poverty in Africa. For the millions of Nigerian families that still don't have the access to take their kids to school, what are the appropriate plans there for them to be able to send their kids to just to pay a simple common tuition?
It's really important to really face the social determinants of development. One of those is education, another one is power, and most importantly, health. I believe that we need to invest in pregnant women right from the beginning of the pregnancy, putting the midwives there to look after, so that by the time the newborn baby is born safely, that child is in the best possible position to transform its life. Government is doing what it can, but it's also important as citizens that each of us individually also cooperates with government to drive our own development. I think today is the beginning of a new attitude in Nigeria, and I would like to think that by 2030 we will see the dividends actually of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Rwanda being the #1 successful story in Africa, women account for 50% of the legislature in Rwanda. How do African women build on this success of Rwanda?
Well, Rwanda is a success story because in the legislation, I think the legislative arm, they have about 56% of the women in their parliament and 52 in government. So what makes Rwanda so successful in terms of empowerment of women politically? I think basically it has to do with the willpower, political willpower by the government, and again collaborating with women during the genocide. Both the women, the children, and the men were all involved. And now when you want to now come out with a comprehensive national issue, it has to be all-encompassing, either based, the gender disparity shouldn't be there, but probably bringing all the players on board and see, hey, we've gone through war and we're not out of war. What makes of us? How do we give peace a chance, and how do we liberate our people from all the ethnic or religious crisis that has befallen us? And I think basically is on the willpower by the government to have an all-inclusive government. And I am one person that I believe a woman that will have saddled with the responsibility of governance, definitely she will give her best to see that her name is not being dragged to the mud. And the Rwanda story shows that the women are more trustworthy, with due respect to the men, than the men, and that has given them an edge to where they are now globally, to see that women have been empowered, women can be reliable when it comes to governance, women can deliver when still again it comes to governance. So to me, I'm proud that the Rwanda women have proved to the global community that what a man can do, a woman can do even far better. And even in the political arena, they have proved their worth, that they can be trusted, and they can be assured. Whoever that gave them their trust, that person should be assured that it will be kept safely, and it will be delivered at the appropriate time.
As a policymaker yourself, and we're talking about gender equality, there will be no gender equality if you don't bring men to the discussion. How do you start educating men to bring them into this, into the discussion, so that they can start contributing and enlightening the young generation?
Well, I wouldn't have been elected basically by the women alone. The men too believed in me and strongly believe that I have something that I can deliver. So when you come in on board politically, it is all encompassing. The gender comparative analysis ought to come to play, and it's not easy because in the political arena it's a secluded adventure for men, and women that are venturing into it to a large extent. A lot of people are not comfortable with that, believing that such is not a territory for the women. But governance, if democracy is for the people, by the people, and of the people can either be a he or a she, or both can now make up a people. And when it comes to politics, most women too want to align themselves to see where will be beneficiary to them. And again, a man can't do without a woman, because whoever you are, you came through a woman, and you are being breastfed by a woman, you've been taken care of by a woman, and I don't think you want to say no to a woman. So when politics is being played, they should give a fair leveling ground for all to play, and whoever emerges, and then you give the person a tap on the back and congratulate the person, and see how we can now come together, fuse together, and move the country that we believe is our country forward, and to give a better dividend to the yearning populace that have casted their vote either on your party or on you as an individual, to now know that they have not made a mistake. So being a woman and venturing into an endangered environment, I think I have proved my worth that gender shouldn't be the yardstick to measure one's capacity or capability, but at least the resilience of such an individual to bring about good dividends to the people that so desire for them. I mean, the people that so desire that person should be their leader.
If there is any young girl watching this program today and that wants to be a politician, that wants to be part of the decision-making table that you have been so blessed to be part of, what will you say to them?
Well, one of the focal things I normally tell either a girl or a boy or a group of young Nigerians that are venturing not only in politics, but in every space of their life, they believe that they want to conquer. It's first believing yourself, secondly believing yourself, and thirdly believing yourself. Because once if you believe in yourself and you refuse to believe the system, definitely you will make an impact. But when you start having the vision and people are coming with different notion towards you, you might lose the focus of that vision. But once if you believe in yourself and you believe that, yes, someone out there has made it before you, you can do better than that person, then obviously the sky will be your limit. But once if again you refuse and you now procrastinate, no, I'm going to do it tomorrow, no, I will do it next tomorrow, obviously you don't believe in yourself. And once if you have a focus, you have your vision, you are determined, and you have your projection, and you just put focus on that projection, and other things will be history.
Talking about the sustainable development, celebrating sustainable development, what do you think that the African leaders that have been here during this General Assembly with all the speeches, what do you think they have to do more now when they go back to their various country?
Well, thank you, African Connect, for your participation at the SDG here in the United Nations all this time. I saw you doing so much great work, and I really appreciate. Again, this work, started years ago, and now we really right, on point, to begin to implement these objectives. So my hope for African leaders and all the leaders that are here, during the Assembly General is really to take all the information and take back, to their countries of origin, and then gather the people that will be responsible, for doing the work. Again, the involvement of the people are very important this year or this time or during the next 20 years to implement, the SDG. If that doesn't happen, it will not happen. The time is now to really include and bring community, at the local, rural, area to be part of any of the services, that are going to be implemented, including health, education, development. We need to include the people. If you don't include the people, there will not be any result.
Women has always been part of the politics in the grassroots, but their political will has never really translated to a national power. What more do you think African women need to do to be on the decision table? What step should they take?
Well, they need to continue to participate at high-level meetings like this, and then bring their voice, just like we were talking just right now with my colleague, that they will have been, better if we have many women, sitting at the round table here today. But again, I think that we are getting closer to that. There is a hope. And before, the end of the SDG, in 20 years, I'm positive and I'm sure that, women will take, the lead, to take care of themselves and then create, a better world, for women and girls.
Thank you so much. And I know that you have been one leading voice that have been fighting for the right of girls everywhere. And I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you, African Connect. Thank you.